All right, good morning, everyone. How y'all doing? Pretty good? Caffeinated? Yeah, it's a good-looking crowd, but you're full of caffeine. Welcome to the Evolve Relaunch event. I hope all of you are excited. My name is Miya Shay. Some of you may know me from my day job as a reporter at ABC 13. But not today. I will be your MC for this morning. So let's give it up one more time for the Evolve Relaunch. Now, I know all of you are already having a blast, because what could be more fun than being in the GRB at 8:30 in the morning? But we have even more excitement for you throughout the morning plan. Today, we're all here to celebrate the final piece of Evolve Houston's relaunch. This event is being presented by Evolve's founding members, who are the electric charge behind all of Evolve's amazing programs. I'd like to thank Houston First for sponsoring this event. And who here is excited to meet the new executive director and president? I know, they've been hiding him, and not for much longer. The suspense, killing us, I know. But before we get started, did everyone have a chance to check out some of the pretty awesome electric vehicles out front? They look good. The F1, oh, come on, nobody saw it? You're all too busy like drinking the coffee, checking out the pastries and the cars. The F-150 Lightning, don't show that to my 8-year-old. He's still 8 years away from driving, but he would be very excited. The Audi e-tron GT. Also, I rode in a Tesla last night. From the Uber driver, I mean, it is everywhere, electric vehicles. It is just incredible to see how many electric options are now available throughout our communities. And today, we are here to celebrate exactly that. The advancement of electric mobility across Houston and the great state of Texas. Over the next 2 hours, you will hear from incredible leaders who are working towards decarbonization, transportation. And we have 2 excellent panels lined up: achieving equitable e-mobility and expanding the state's EV charging infrastructure. In between, don't get too excited, but in between, we have a 15-minute mimosa break. I know. Don't tell me y'all just came for the mimosa break. I know that is not true. It might be the mimosa break and the breakfast. Because, who doesn't love a little OJ, charge, bubbles? It all goes together. Besides, it's like already Friday Eve. So we have, the bad jokes are free, yes. We have a busy morning ahead of us. Are we charged up and ready to go? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the person I'm going to introduce next. My pleasure to welcome Elizabeth Brock, Chair of Evolve Houston Board of Directors, on stage. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Maya. Let's give our MC a round of applause. She's so amazing. She really brought the energy this morning. Good morning, everyone. This is such an overwhelming moment because to see how far in such a short period of time Evolve has come. From this incredible turnout to this amazing production, let's give the Evolve team a big round of applause. I'm so excited to see everyone here today come together to celebrate a more resilient and electrified future. Evolve was founded almost 3 years ago, right here in Houston, the energy capital of the world. And it has been a fantastic experience to be a part of its growth and success. And for those of you who haven't been following Evolve very closely, Evolve is a coalition of motivated public and private organizations that have come together to focus on improving air quality through electric mobility. You see, Evolve was born through Mayor Turner's Climate Action Plan. He brought together leaders from different domains to advance electric mobility under one common vision. Those 5 board members include the City of Houston, CenterPoint Energy, Shell, NRG, and the University of Houston. Together, we formed a coalition that blended our ambitions to continue to define the legacy of what it means to be the energy capital of the world. I'd like to take a moment to recognize my colleagues. the people behind Evolve who made today a reality. Chris Angelides, our Vice Chair, and Aurora Cuellar from Shell. Tina Paez and Priya Zachariah from the City of Houston. Linda Clemens and Danita Park from NRG. Dr. Ramanan Krishnamurti and Dr. Bruce Race from the University of Houston. Our treasurer, Catherine Pellegrin. And finally, our LDR support team, Ryan Martin and Lauren Gore. I'd also like to recognize the staff who have done an amazing job of putting this event together. We told them to bring the energy, and they certainly did. And if this event is symbolic of where we're headed, then we're certainly driving in the right direction. Our board and our team have committed to the health and well-being of Houstonians, and we believe through clean air and clean transportation should be a reality for all. In addition to my board role at Evolve, I also serve as Vice President of Energy Solutions at CenterPoint Energy. And at CenterPoint, we realize that it's vitally important to plan for an EV future when everyone in this room will be eventually driving electric. And we value our Evolve membership because we know that this team is committed to driving success. CenterPoint is planning for a future electric grid to support economic growth and enable access to electric transportation for all, so that when you plug in your EV, CenterPoint will be ready. We're mapping out future infrastructure needs to help prepare for growth across commercial, residential neighborhoods, and mass transit systems. Our partnership with Evolve will simply validate and accelerate that work. Today marks a new chapter for Evolve, and when you leave here today, it is our goal that you will know how to get involved, you will know what resources are available, and you will have a confidence that Houston is prepared for an electrified future. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Now, your leadership on Evolve and at CenterPoint truly inspiring, and it will no doubt help lead us to a brighter future in Houston and beyond. I'd like to present our next speaker to the stage, who would certainly have driven here in his own electric vehicle if his security detail would have allowed it. Fortunately, they don't. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to your mayor, Mayor Sylvester Turner.
Okay, it is very dark in this room. I can't. All right, let me talk to the darkness until the electricity comes on. Let me start off by certainly thanking Miya Shay for taking the time to be here, and she does an exceptional job. So please give it up to the Miya Shay. Let me also introduce, and some of these people get reintroduced over and over again, but there are some elected officials that are here. Senator John Whitmire is here. And two of my favorite council members. And let me introduce Councilmember Robert Gallegos, Councilmember David Robinson. And these individuals have already been introduced, but let me just acknowledge them again. You can hold your applause. I do certainly want to thank Tina Paez, Director of ARA, and Priya Zachariah, because quite frankly, they have taken the lead and the leadership on much of what we are discussing today, especially as it relates to my role. So I do want to acknowledge them. Walter Hambrick is the Assistant Chief of Staff who is here. And then Houston First, has just been instrumental in almost everything that we have done in this city. And of course, we are here this morning at George R. Brown. So let me acknowledge the chair of Houston First, David Mintzberg, and the president and CEO, Michael Heckman. And then I know there are board members. I heard Sophia. I can see her hair. I just can't see her face. But Sophia Utreger, hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien, all of that. All right. Let me do these remarks first in English, and then I'll follow with Swahili, and then I'm gonna take my seat. It is. It's just a good day. Look, let me just say that I'm excited. There could not be a better time for Evolve Relaunch. I don't know how they planned it, but Elizabeth, the timing is simply perfect. Right after, with the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, we've passed. Yeah, come on, give it up to them. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, and when it comes to the money and the tax credit and $369 billion in climate mitigation, it's worth clapping for. So, and then with passage of the bipartisan infrastructure bill, that's huge, and it's huge for this city, because quite frankly, you can't talk about advancing EVs without having the infrastructure in place. You can't talk about growth and development without the infrastructure. And so with the bipartisan infrastructure bill combined with the IRA, things will happen, and Houston certainly will be a benefactor. And then I want to acknowledge 3 years ago, I think it was in October of 2019, as Elizabeth Brock is, and let me just start off by giving a huge shout out and thanks to Elizabeth Brock. She and I have known each other for a long time. Her leadership has been stellar. Elizabeth, thank you so very, very much. In so many ways, she is the face of CenterPoint. And you got to give personality to a lot of what we do, so thank you so very much. But 3 years ago, there was about 200, a little over 200 people, and CenterPoint, NRG, Shell, and of course the University of Houston. And then along with LDR, Ryan Martin, Lauren Gore, really brought this into fruition. That was 3 years ago, but look where we are today. And it speaks to what happens when you bring thought leaders together under a common goal. And so thank you to Evolve and to the staff and each of you in this room for supporting the efforts to enable a clean and resilient future. I also want to recognize the Evolve board and all of them for their leadership. I'm not going to call particular names, but I will recognize the Evolve, the vice of the Evolve board, Chris Angelidis. And let me, if you will, let me do this. And I'm deviating from my script. I got an electric charge, so I'm deviating from the script a little bit, because Shell underwrote the city's resilient plan. And when people were thinking whether or not climate change resilient could work in the energy capital of the world, how would the energy sector respond? Well, let me tell you, in Houston, we do it our way, and we do it a unique way. And David, even when we didn't have a federal partner, so to speak, or any state mandates in place, collaboration and partnership will go a long way. And so Shell underwrote the Resilient Houston Plan, CenterPoint underwrote the Climate Action Plan, and then the conversation started talking about energy transition, which in large part is leading us to where we are today. But it's the energy sector, working with community groups, working with the city, that have helped to make all of this happen. You cannot tell Houston's story without talking about the city's growth. We are the fourth largest city in the United States, with over 660 square miles and over 2.3 million people. And that is just within the city limits. And when you look at the region, you're talking about well over 7 million people. Most of you are in this room today and the overflow. That was a joke. Y'all didn't get it? Damn it, every chair should have an electric shock. You know. Oh, and I got to acknowledge my daughter. Oh, I'm so sorry, Ashley. Let me acknowledge my daughter, the First Lady of the City of Houston, Ashley Page Turner. Please stand up. Just got married, and out of my pocket, her husband got her. Praise the Lord, hallelujah. You know. And Dr. Quentin Wright, the president of Lone Star North. Where's Dr. Wright? Oh, he's in the green room back there. As our city continues to grow, transportation must grow and evolve with the needs of our communities. We must ensure that we can get to where we need to go using sustainable energy and that our children can ride to school every day on clean electric school buses. The IRA will help in making that happen. And this is why Metro has committed to their zero-emission procurement policy and was awarded over $21 million last week to help reach this goal. Our school districts are also planning for their own clean transportation futures. The city has also committed to electrifying all of our light-duty, non-emergency response fleet vehicles by 2030. In fact, in conversation with the fleet director, we're even looking at some of our heavy-duty vehicles in view of the IRA. We will lead by example and show you how you can electrify your vehicles as well. And finally, TxDOT has submitted a plan to the federal DOT to allocate a portion of the state's $408 million NEVA allowance to public charging infrastructure projects within the Houston area so you can charge your electric vehicles along the highway and within our rural and urban communities. You know, I know there's been a lot of conversation. I love TxDOT. They are my friends, you know. As long as they spending money in the city of Houston, I love them, love them, love them. So thank you, Senator John Whitmer. I appreciate all of that. We're also working on a master energy plan for the Houston region with CenterPoint Energy that will be announced in September. A huge piece of this is the master energy plan includes planning for an electric future. The timing simply could not be better. All of our planning has positioned us to be wildly successful following President Biden's signing of the Inflation Reduction Act into law earlier this week. The IRA, with its tax credits on new and used EVs, will help reduce emissions and create cleaner air for all while reducing the cost of EV ownership for countless households. A win for our sustainability, resilience, and equity goals. And finally, the benefits of the IRA will impact our city from power plants along our transmission lines and into the growing number of EVs on our roads. Houston is very competitive. We were when we talked about oil and gas, we said the energy capital of the world. And then we transitioned through innovation and we said the energy capital of the world. And now we want to be able to continue to wear the crown. So we want to lead in terms of energy transition. And in order for that to happen, that means when it comes to infrastructure at our airports, so if people want a rental car that's EV, the charging stations need to be there. At Metro, riding electric buses, it needs to be there. With regards to our city fleet, EVs need to be there. And by 2030, 50% of the cars that you purchase need to be EVs. And Houston needs to be at the top of the list. As chair of the United States Climate Mayors and board chair of the Global Resilience Network, I have said repeatedly to them, you can be the mayor of the energy capital of the world, and at the same time, you can lead in climate change mitigation, equity, resilience, and sustainability. And quite frankly, that's what we are doing today. Houston's story is one of fortitude. Our communities have experienced a lot of storms, I don't have to tell you, but we've been very, very resilient. Our focus must be on reducing greenhouse gas emissions and ensuring that we are on the path to becoming a zero city by 2050, and as stated in our climate action plan. The city works very closely with Rocket Mountain Institute to plan for the long-term transition of our own municipal fleet. In the past 6 months, Evolve Houston introduced this new logo and brand, launched this new website, serving as a resource to consumers, organizations, and anyone interested in electric mobility. And now I am here to introduce the next executive director for Evolve Houston. This individual has a strong energy background as well as in engineering, with a bachelor's degree in physics and an MBA from Rice University. Rice. But when you put U of H, University of Houston mayor and a Rice University as leading Evolve, you know, it is electrifying, you know. He is, oh, that's good for a tweet. Okay, Maya, I'm about to shut up. Yeah, you know, he is an innovative leader who has both worked in large corporations and as an entrepreneur. As I was telling him on the outside, he said he was a bit nervous. He's been a quarterback as well. So I said, look, you're just used to that. It's just a part of as a part of the territory, because when I was a quarterback, you know. Okay, to the script. He understands, this is what happens when you go to the dentist before you come here and speak. He understands what Houston needs. He understands what Houston needs to charge the advancement of electric mobility forward. That's a good line, I didn't write that. He understands what Houston needs to charge the advancement of electric mobility forward. Jeff, that's a good tweet, put that in there. I'm excited to watch how he steps into the role and how he helps Houston reach new heights to reduce transportation-related greenhouse gas emissions. And we look forward to the impact he and Evolve will make on this community in this new chapter. And they have a lot of work to do before I leave in 16 months. So please join me in welcoming and congratulating Evolve Houston's new Executive Director and President, Casey Brown. Casey, we're looking forward to hear from you.
Wow, I posted that back there at the end. Thank you, Mayor Turner. I really appreciate that introduction, and thank you everyone for such a warm welcome. I'm honored to be here today and to have been appointed by the Board of Directors to lead Evolve Houston. Houston's a special place to me. My first taste of Houston was back in 2004 in the Houston Bowl. You know, today it's the Texas Bowl. I was a young quarterback for the University of Colorado, and we came down here to beat UTEP. We did, 33-28. That was my first victory in Houston, and I'm looking forward to many more. Now, coming full circle, Houston's my home. It's where I met my wife and where I'm raising my kids. Now more than ever, I'm driven and charged up to be part of the change that helps my community, our community, Houston, become an even better and healthier place to live. Evolve Houston has a big mission. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions is no simple task, but electrification is certainly part of the solution. We want half of new vehicles sold in Houston to be electric by 2030. As you enjoy this morning, take some photos and hashtag 50by30. I look forward to working with each of you to get more electric cars, buses, and bikes on the road. In the first half of the year, EVs made up about 8% of all new vehicles sold in Houston, which is about 12,000 new EVs on the road through June. We're on track to nearly double last year's EV sales. It's great progress, but let me tell you, we're just getting started. Metro was just awarded $21.6 million in grant funding for bus electrification. TxDOT recently put out the first ever statewide EV charging infrastructure plan. Texas is scheduled to receive $408 million in federal funding to expand public EV charging infrastructure. The EPA is providing $5 billion over the next 5 years to fund school bus electrification. And consumers will continue to qualify for $7,500 immediate tax credit on the purchase of a new electric vehicle and $4,000 for purchase of a used vehicle. To get to 50% by 2030, we need to come together as a team, celebrate these early wins, but we need to buckle down and put a historic drive together. And this is where Evolve fits in. Our role is to inspire change by bringing the right players to the drawing board so we can all create the best game plan and advance electric mobility. Evolve is here to orchestrate an offense by putting organizations in positions to be successful. Much like a football team, the electric vehicle revolution will require a coordinated effort, play in and play out. While we're here to sculpt that game plan, I don't want you to forget, we're also in the huddle and on the field with each of you. Look around this room today. There are superstar players at every shake of the hand. This relaunch event is an excellent opportunity to join us on the field and become part of that team. Our approach at Evolve is simple. It has 3 focus areas. First, consumer awareness and education. EVs are so much fun to drive. They're quick and quiet, more affordable than people think, and they're loaded with technology. To show Texans the benefits, we started hosting electric ride and drive events late last year. We've completed hundreds of test drives, and each one has ended with a smile. Nothing compares to driving electric. We look forward to growing our electric ride and drive campaign and completing thousands more test drives in the next 12 months. Our second focus area is commercialization and infrastructure. We're working with our founding members to get more EV chargers in the ground. By 2030, Houston's expected to have over 500,000 EVs on the road, and Texas is looking at about 2.5 million. We need to forecast and be prepared for the increased charging demand, period. Evolve is actively planning and forecasting for that electric future. Earlier this year, we published our first regional infrastructure strategy for electrification report. It's a mouthful. We use an acronym and we call it RISE. In that report, we concluded that Houston requires an additional $400 million of investment over the next 8 years to deliver on a more accessible and reliable charging network to help us reach our electrification goals. Another key finding in that report was a clear disparity amongst communities. Low to moderate income and non-white communities today have little to no public charging infrastructure available. This leads me to Evolve's third focus area, equity. Evolve Houston has committed to allocating 40% of programmatic funds to benefit Houston's underserved communities, and that's a big deal. And today I want to be the first to officially announce the launch of Evolve Houston's e-mobility microgrant initiative. Evolve will be awarding microgrants to support equitable access to improved air quality, clean energy careers, and affordable clean transportation. I'm pleased to inform you that as of this morning, organizations can now submit their grant applications at evolvehouston.org. We're accepting our first round of applications through the end of September to help fund the vision of a more connected and sustainable future. Our goal is to shine a bright spotlight on the incredible grassroots innovation and creativity that's happening across the greater Houston area. This initiative will help reduce the disproportionate greenhouse gas emissions in our underserved communities and enhance their economic opportunity. The key here is we're now connecting corporate investment directly with localized initiatives. I'd like to thank our corporate catalysts, General Motors and BP, for being the first to fund this incredible initiative with their generous contributions. And I'd encourage each of you to visit our website to learn more about how you can be part of this program and others. Mobility doesn't stop at the city borders. Over the next 6 months, we'll be activating the Wright team to build our Electrification Roadmap 2.0, which is set to print early next year. The organizations represented in this room have the opportunity to define the future of electrification in Texas together. Now, before I leave the stage, everyone should have received a Evolve Houston bag. In that bag, you'll find a card with my contact information on it. Reach out to me to get plugged in, dive deeper into our connected ecosystem, or if you just want to go out for a good barbecue lunch. This card in that bag is your key to get connected with Evolve, to access the resources and leadership that we provide, along with the network that we can plug you into. The most important resource is the team. It's each other. As a team, we will create and capture more value together. So reach out to me and get connected. Once again, I'm honored to lead Evolve into the next phase of our electric vehicle journey. And I'll leave you with this. Let's achieve zero emissions together, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. Now, wasn't that awesome? Are you guys excited to have him lead Evolve? Yes, yes we are. Thank you so much. And also, Mayor, I know Netflix will be calling you very soon for your own comedy special. We look forward to that. Up next is Jane Stricker, Executive Director of Houston Energy Transition Initiative and Senior Vice President of Energy Transition at Greater Houston Partnership. Jane?
Thank you, Maya, and welcome, Casey. It's great to have such incredible leadership here in Houston to take the mission of Evolve forward. And thank you to the entire Evolve team for inviting me today to share a bit about the Houston leadership in the global transition to a low-carbon, energy-abundant future and where Evolve fits in that mission. The Houston Energy Transition, or HETI, is dedicated to strengthening Houston's position as the energy capital of the world through our transition and accelerating solutions that will enable an energy-abundant and low-carbon future. Since 1840, the Greater Houston Partnership has strived to make Houston the best place to live, work, and build a business. We serve over 900 member organizations across the 12-county Houston region. And it was just a year ago that the partnership launched the Houston Energy Transition Strategy. And that strategy was developed. We wanted to make sure it aligned with and complemented the city's climate action plan. And a key element of Houston's climate action plan is enabling the transition to clean, low-carbon transportation, which underpins the Evolve mission. The HETI and Evolve emissions really go hand in hand. For a city like Houston, vehicle electrification plays a critical role in meeting the city's net zero by 2050 ambition and our collective goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and ensuring the long-term viability of our region. And within HETI, we're working with member organizations to progress key energy transition solutions where Houston has a unique advantage, such as CCUS, clean hydrogen, power storage, and grid resiliency, providing the tools that will allow us to decarbonize our entire energy system. And there's nowhere in the world better positioned for that transition than Houston. In the same way that successful transition to EVs will require participation by and commitment from major auto manufacturers, the world's transition to energy-abundant, low-carbon future requires the participation and commitment from Houston and its incumbent energy industry. And I'm here to tell you that Houston's energy industry is ready to go. We can and will achieve our climate goals, including Evolve's goal of 50 by 30, and we will do it through innovative technologies, supportive policies, and an energy transition ecosystem that is uniquely Houston. Today's relaunch of Evolve is an indication of Houston's commitment to our collective net zero future, and all of us at the partnership and HETI are incredibly excited to be part of that future. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Now, please welcome Michael Conklin, Senior Manager of Transformation at Ernst & Young. Michael?
It's bright. It's great to see so many people here. I guess we should serve mimosas at all of our events. If you speak, they actually let you drive away with that Ford F-150 Lightning, so I thought that was cool. Well, the mayor already took most of my good talking points, so I thought that was kind of inconsiderate, but I'll do my best here. I'm Michael Conklin, and as Maya said, I work at Ernst & Young and have the pleasure of having been able to work with all of these great people over the last few years on the Evolve Houston project. And I am so encouraged and proud to see where we've come from where we started to where we are today. By 2030, we are going to have 2.5 million electric vehicles on Texas roads, and about 20% of those or more are going to be in Houston. We're looking at somewhere between 500,000 and 750,000 vehicles, electric vehicles, by that time. And the batteries in those electric vehicles would be enough to power every single family home in the greater Houston area for half a day. Just think about that. That's the kind of new transportation and energy future we are moving into, all enabled by the great work of the board members and staff of Evolve Houston and all of you who come out to support Evolve Houston. 2.5 million vehicles. 3 years ago, we were hoping for half that. A lot can change in just 3 years. Evolve Houston has gone from a first launch in the lobby of CenterPoint Energy with just a handful of people to 3 years later, the George R. Brown, and look at all the people we have here supporting this movement. At the Houston Auto Show 3 years ago, we had like a tiny little square for electric vehicles. And now, if you go to the Houston Auto Show, you will see Evolve Houston and electric vehicles as a centerpiece of the show. Kudos, Kate. Our media footprint has gone from nothing to one of the best newsletters and one of the best social media channels that I've seen in the transportation electrification industry. Great job, Evolve Houston and LDR. And our message now reaches and stretches all the way into classrooms, thanks to the excellent work of Madison Wynn and the Houston Electric Youth Program. A lot can change in 3 years. And that's the power of vision, mission, and goals. 3.5 years ago, many of you were at the stakeholder road mapping meetings at the University of Houston, where we came together as a community, we listened, we shared, and we mapped out where we wanted to be. We started with an ambition of 30% adoption by 2030, and we thought that was ambitious. Little did we know that just a couple years later, we would up it to 50%. And my numbers say that we're going to hit that. I think we're going to blow it out of the water. We just need to make sure that the dadgum supply chain is there. Nothing against the port. We have the best port in Houston. They're doing their job. Evolve Houston is growing in numbers and impact, and that's the power of shared vision. Thank you, Mayor Turner, for your climate action plan that kicked this all off. We are getting to where we've gotten because of our mission. And for that, I thank the board members of Evolve Houston for their leadership. And we're getting to where we've gotten and going to where we're going because we have high goals that LDR and the staff at Evolve Houston help us chase every day. And I know Casey Brown is going to lead us to. So thank you, LDR, thank you, Evolve Houston, and thank you, Casey Brown. And thank you all for this relaunch, because visions, missions, and goals need to be refreshed. And they need to be refreshed continuously, because the work ahead, if you're doing good work, you heard the saying, the reward for good work is more work. Well, we've done good work, and now we've got more work to do. We have more work, but the fun part is this time we have money, as Mayor Turner said. We have tens of billions of dollars, federal dollars, for EVs and EV charging infrastructure through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the Inflation Reduction Act. We have money for national electric vehicle infrastructure. We have money for purchase incentives for new vehicles, for used vehicles, and for commercial vehicles. We now have made it economical for almost every car buyer out there to choose an electric vehicle. So since it's economical, let's make it easy. Let's make it easy to electrify in Houston. Let's make it convenient to get to a charging station. Let's make it affordable to electrify in Houston, and let's make it fun to electrify in Houston. And let's make sure that all Houstonians have access to emissions-free transportation from point A to point B. Let's turn this transportation transformation into good jobs and prosperity for the people of Houston. And let's continue to drive as one as we relaunch Evolve Houston with refreshed vision, mission, and goals. If you read the mission statement, you will know that Evolve Houston is a coalition of sustainability-minded civic and business and academic leaders who seek to accelerate transportation through electrification. But let me simplify that. Evolve Houston is about people, movement, and energy. You are the people who sustain this movement, and together we create the energy to move Houston to a brighter future. I am blessed to stand among you in this effort. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Michael. Now we have our next speaker. Not the same Michael, a different Michael. That brings up to our next speaker. Please welcome Michael Chamberlain from the Texas Department of Transportation, who the mayor already said he's a big fan of. So, Michael. There you go.
I was fortunate enough to drive an electric car from Austin to Houston this morning, so it's a little different from last time. I left the house at about 90%, got here with about 100 miles left, and then I'll charge for about 10 or 15 minutes on the way home. So it's super easy. It's almost thoughtless. But what I'm here today to talk to you about is the Texas EV plan. So you've heard a lot of things already this morning about it. Hopefully I can provide you a few more facts about the plan and about where we're going. Okay? So started late last year, the bipartisan infrastructure law, about $407.8 million comes to Texas. That's over 5 years. The important thing to know is that the money doesn't expire. So if we don't use it in 5 years, we can take 10 years. We don't want to take 10 years, but it'll be available until spent. A couple of the requirements. First, we have to spend it on the alternative fuel corridors. Raise your hand if you know what the alternative fuel corridors are. It's hard to see, but I think I see one hand. Okay, the alternative fuel corridors are interstates. Okay, those are what we're going to be done first. It's basically all the interstates in the state, minus the business interstates. And some of the requirements are the stations have to be every 50 miles. That's important for redundancy purposes. So if you want to skip a station, or maybe you want to go a different route, you can do that. You don't have to be bound to a certain route. Another requirement is has to at least 4 plugs, at least 4 connectors at 150 kilowatts per connector. That's the floor. So you hear a lot of talk is like, oh, 4 is not enough, or 150 kilowatts is not enough. That's the floor, that's the base. Okay, it can go up from there. We're going to try to get to 350 kilowatts as soon as possible. Okay, along the coastlines or on more traveled areas, it'll be anywhere from 6 to 8 connectors per location. okay? So it won't be the 4, it'll be the 6 or 8 for emergency purposes, evacuations, things like that. Okay, we're going to partner with the private sector for these locations. TxDOT does not plan to own or operate the equipment. They will be on the hook to report data to TxDOT on a quarterly basis, and we'll use that data to help plan stations and also report back to the Federal Highway Administration. Now, how long is it going to take to do the alternative fuel corridors? Any guesses? Okay, but you've talked to me before. 6 to 18 months to finish the alternative fuel corridors is what we're talking about. It could be a little bit longer, right? We're going to try to make sure there's not much of a break between finishing the corridors and going to the next location. The next locations will be the rural areas, right? The county seats. If anyone's seen the map and seen the plan, raise your hand if you've seen the plan. Again, 2 or 3 people, the lights are so bright, I'm hard to see. So it'll be the county seats in the rural areas, and all the urbanized areas will be next. They'll move at a 50-50 rate. The funds per year will be split 50-50, and there's an allocation for each MPO. We plan to work with the local partners, our local planning partners as usual, cities, counties, MPOs, to decide where those go. TxDOT's not going to decide where those charging stations go. That's up to you guys, okay? It's a little bit easier for us to do the alternative fuel corridors on the interstates because the requirements are a little bit tighter. We're more familiar with that. We feel comfortable there. But on the urban side, we're going to work with our planning partners on the local side. Make sense? Right. The urban is going to be a combination of DC fast charging and level 2 charging. The rules are still being written at the federal side to tell us how that's going to work out. The rules will be finished about mid-October, so you'll see more action from us towards the end of October. We already submit the plan. That was already done a little bit ahead of time. Federal Highways and the Joint Office, Department of Energy are reviewing. They'll be done about September 30th. Final rules come out mid-October. We're getting our in-house stuff in order for the contracting part, and we're going to try to hit it really hard towards the end of the year, beginning of next year. Okay, so we are looking forward to working with our planning partners. We're looking forward to the challenge. We're happy to help. I want to say thank you to everyone who submit comments to the plan and read the plan and helped. It was very beneficial. We couldn't have done it without you. We had about, don't laugh, 16 weeks to write the plan, which is lightning speed for any state agency, but we couldn't have done it without you. So we appreciate that. We thank you. There's plenty of ways to follow along in the plan. We're going to have regular updates posted to the EV landing page, which is on our TxDOT webpage. That's where we're going to communicate until we actually start the RFP process and post the solicitation. Okay, and that's where we are, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michael. It's nice to have you confirm that everything is bigger in Texas, including the EV plan. Our next speaker, Jessica James, Senior Manager of Climate Equity Fund and Disaster Relief at General Motors, unfortunately couldn't be with us in person today, but she is joining us from the much less humid state of Michigan. Can we bring up Jessica on screen, please?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today from my home in Michigan. My name is Jessica James, and I lead GM's Climate Equity Fund. GM launched this fund in 2021 and will give $50 million to nonprofits helping close gaps in the transition to electric vehicles and other sustainable technology. At GM, we believe that everyone who wants an electric vehicle should be able to experience one. It's the reason why we are transforming our entire portfolio, converting factories across the country, and investing more than $35 billion in electric and autonomous vehicles through 2025. We want to bring everyone along as we work toward our vision for a world with zero emissions. That means tackling the most critical obstacles to mass EV adoption: choice, affordability, and accessibility for millions of drivers, all while helping to mobilize America's workforce. We're well on our way. In just 5 years, GM has gone from introducing the Chevrolet Bolt EV, the industry's first affordable, long-range EV, to developing our entirely new Ultium EV platform, underpinning exciting vehicles like the GMC Hummer EV, Cadillac Lyriq, and Silverado EV. We've shown a performance version of the Chevrolet Blazer EV, and this fall, we'll take the wraps off a Chevrolet Equinox electric crossover that will go on sale next year, starting at $30,000. GM has the technology, talent, scale, and manufacturing expertise to help build a future that advances the goals of climate action. But we can't accomplish it alone. We need smart and effective public policy, to support change that will make our world better, safer, and more equitable for all. We need a collaborative approach on the EV charging infrastructure needed to accelerate adoption and support communities. We need community partners who can reach the most vulnerable populations and help them participate in and benefit from the transition to a more sustainable economy. Evolve Houston's equity program is designed to invest in historically underserved neighborhoods within the greater Houston area by awarding microgrants to grassroots e-mobility projects that address community mobility needs. And we are thrilled to be an early funder of this work, which centers and empowers local communities, especially in the state of Texas, a state that more than 9,600 GM employees, 310 dealers, and 242 suppliers call home. We're thrilled to see so many people, businesses, and policymakers gathered today to talk about an all-electric future. Working together, we can create a safer, more sustainable world for all to enjoy. And on behalf of the entire GM team, congratulations to the City of Houston and our friends at Evolve Houston. Back to you.
We now return you to the live programming here at the GRB. Thank you, Jessica. Please welcome Dr. Quentin Wright, president of Lone Star College, Houston North.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Nearly 20 years ago, when I was a young community college professor at that time, my institution had a speaker. And the theme of that speaker's message was that our main job as educators is not to prepare students for the current jobs, but to prepare students for those emerging jobs, those future jobs. I remember feeling the pressure then. And then a week later, I walked into the classroom. It was the first class that I taught, and I realized I had a different challenge. About 90% of the students were black or brown. Most were coming from poverty, and the vast majority were the first in their families to go to college. I realized then that my challenge was not only to prepare them for these future jobs, but to also be a part of breaking these generational cycles. And that's why I'm so excited about this EV movement, because in a small way, we can address both challenges. We have this industry in which it is backed by private industry in the terms of innovation, but is also backed by political leaders whenever you look at the most recent infrastructure bill and the Inflation Reduction Act. And this EV movement is leading to a new set of jobs for everyone, but can significantly impact underserved communities. So I want to spend a few minutes talking to you a little bit about our EV maintenance technician program and why we chose it. Whenever we choose programs, we ask a few questions, and the first, is there a labor market for it? In other words, will there be jobs? Well, the short answer is yes. We know from the most recent infrastructure bill that there are estimated 500,000 new charging stations. But the truth of the matter, if we hit that 2030 target that Casey talked about, we're going to need twice that many charging stations. And that's not counting the 20 million plus private stations that we would need in people's homes. I read somewhere that in order to meet this demand, we would need 40,000 new technicians. So there will be jobs available. But the second factor is, will these jobs be accessible to the students that we serve? And this field is perfect for the community college. You see, you don't need a 4-year degree. You don't even need a 2-year degree. In most cases, in 1 year or less, you can earn all of the training that you need to be able to enter this field. And the potential for alignment is being recognized nationally. In Florida, Indiana State College received a $2.7 million National Science Foundation grant for the purpose of developing a consortium to alleviate the labor shortage. The American Association of Community Colleges, that's our lobbying arm. They have 5 faculty-led teams across the country right now that are building EV maintenance technician programs. And we at Lone Star College, we are developing the first such program in the state of Texas. Now, the final factor that we look at is, will this program impact the communities that we serve? Now, Texas has this very ambitious higher education plan. It said that by 2030, 60% of all Texans will have a post-secondary degree. That is between the ages of 25 and 34. And that's not an arbitrary target. The truth of the matter, the Houston Business Journal said that by that time, 65% of all jobs in Texas will require some type of post-secondary credential. And if we do not get there, it would be dire straits for our great Texas economy. Now, the unfortunate part about it is that there are several primarily black and brown communities within the greater Houston area that are not on pace to be able to reach that target. However, the silver lining is the middle skill jobs. At Lone Star College, we graduate somewhere between 9,000 and 10,000 students every year. And of our black graduates, over 60% of them enter into workforce fields that are leading to what? Middle skill jobs. And that's why we are very excited that with the help of CenterPoint Energy and based upon Mayor Turner's Complete Communities Initiative vision, we are going to be bringing an EV charging station to the Bethune Empowerment Center in the heart of the greater Acres Homes community. Now, this community, the FOFO as the Mayor Turner calls it, is a very proud community. It is a historic community, but it's also a community in which 1 in 5 families live in a household that makes $25,000 or less. And only 19% of the population have any type of post-secondary degree. That's why this is such a special opportunity for us. For when TxDOT implement their plan and they have a charging station every 50 miles, they can go through this historic black and brown community to find the workers to be able to fulfill it. So if you take nothing else from me today, please note this: the EV revolution is here and it is full of opportunities. As a higher education professional, I don't only see this as a movement for clean energy and technology, but it's also one about equity. So as the future evolves, you see what I did there? I stand here optimistic because I know that it will be an inclusive one. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Wright. We're inching closer to the mimosa break. Up next, please welcome RoShelle Salinas, the Executive Vice President of the Houston Automobile Dealers Association, and hopefully somebody will give me some good suggestions on a 7-seater electric mommy-mobile. Good morning.
So without a doubt, a major driving force in everything we've discussed today and getting more EVs on the road will be through our local dealerships. And as the Houston Auto Dealers Association, we represent 185 new car and truck dealers across the city. This is a network of dealerships that not only sells and services vehicles, but as you know, they're an integral part of our community, providing major economic impact and local support for employment, professional training, lots of nonprofit giving, and general community involvement, like your Little League teams everyone recognizes. I'm here to tell you that these dealers are embracing the evolution of electric vehicles and working hard to implement their own charging infrastructures, adapting their service departments, hiring these technicians that are being trained, and demanding inventory be allocated to this great city. We know with the help of Evolve and the power and strength in this room and our dealers' abilities, we can get more EVs to this market. Nearly every manufacturer will be offering one or more, and in some cases their entire fleet in EV models within the coming years, as you've seen out in the showroom today. The dealership model actually represents the best path forward to truly getting mass adoption of EVs throughout Houston. If you're not aware, one of the best places to see, experience, compare, learn, and test drive about all of the varieties of vehicles available besides at a dealership is the Houston Auto Show. And we've been producing the Auto Show for the last 39 years to promote consumer education and vehicle sales in the city. We've been working closely with Evolve Houston, thank you great team, for the past few years to expand the education offering of EVs at this event with a successful EV showroom. Now, I'm very eager to make an even bigger impact and make bigger things happen to see how we can strengthen this partnership as we develop the 23 Houston Auto Show. I have a great feeling that things are coming with the creation of an EV test drive experience this January, along with an even larger EV showroom. Thank you, Evolve, for your support and commitment to our event. We are here to back you up too, and thrilled to see where this road will take us. So, mark your calendars for January 25th.
Thank you, RoShelle. That's very exciting. Now, before I let you go for your mimosa break, how about a big hand to all of our speakers this morning? And the jokes were pretty good too. It is incredible to hear about the fantastic electric mobility initiatives happening today, how it will shape our futures. And before we take our 15-minute break, you didn't know this, but before they hand you a mimosa, they make you promise that you come back. That I highly recommend you stick around for our two great panels coming up after the break. Also, I encourage everyone to snap a picture with your favorite electric car. Selfies are just what's hot right now. Post it on social media. Or if you have a great TikTok channel, let us know what that is. Remember, hashtag 50by30. You will find your free mimosa right near the F-150 Lightning. Help yourself to free breakfast as well, although I know that's not why you guys came. The break is sponsored by eRiders, a Houston-based business that believes every household deserves to experience the thrill of electric mobility. We will see you back here in 15 minutes. See you soon.